Welcome back, everybody. Episode 5 of the Kayfart podcast.
Oh
Today,
shit.
I have the one and only esteemed guest, Slapmanboy. What's up, my brother?
Yo, what's good, man?
Uh,
How's it going, man?
it's going
Good to
good,
be
bro.
here. Thank you for having me on this podcast. It's
Of
an honor.
course. Of course. Of course.
Honor
I
to
am.
be one of the building blocks of one of the best podcasts that I'll ever be.
Ooh. Oh, look at my boy hyping me up already. I can't wait for this episode, you guys. The
Oh
people who might
shit.
be watching this on YouTube, you're not on the stream. Slap and I, very close friends. We both live close to each other in nice sunny SoCal.
Oh
We
yeah,
hang
Valley
out.
Boys.
We talk a lot. I'm excited. So people who are watching this might be thinking this is a Melee episode, but no, no, no. I in fact only have
Melee.
one Melee question. A whopping one Melee question today.
That's too many. That's one too many.
That's one too many. That's what I'm saying. But it ties in. It's not a Melee only question. So, but
Cool.
yeah, no. Today we're gonna be talking. We're gonna be talking music. But before we get into all that, I want to hear about the Slapman Boy origin story. How long have you been streaming, and when did you start streaming?
Ooh,
And
all right.
how did you start streaming? Rather, how? Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's so I started streaming on and off maybe like years ago, like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I used to play Rocket League and I started to, just want to stream it. So I'd stream it on and off just for friends and nothing serious. And then I kind of gave up on that, because it was kind of getting boring.
Mm.
And then years went by and I was starting to get into the game Super Smash Brothers Melee,
Oh yes.
and the game we won't talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But
You don't have to
but-
avoid it. You don't have to.
no,
I was just kidding. Yeah.
no, I love avoiding it. That's my
Mhm.
favorite thing.
Mhm.
But anyway, so I started playing it, and I just ever since I was a kid, I would always love to share gaming experiences with the homies. Like we just all sit on the couch and be on the watch one person play, right? And I think that was kind of like the vibe
Yeah.
from when I was a kid, and I love that. That was like one of my favorite things to do was just like watch someone play the game or me play the game while people like the homies would react.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kind of carried on to like me wanting to stream, and I just randomly one day just decided to start streaming me learning Melee, like this hard ass game, me
Yeah.
getting my ass kicked over and over.
Facts.
And I'm like, you know what? Like, I'll just stream it. Who cares? Like, I'm far from obviously being good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just started streaming under a different name actually.
What was that name? If you don't mind
I
sharing?
started. Yeah, it was Organized Farts.
That's that's the email too, right?
Yes,
Organized farts.
Yes,
Love it.
sir.
Oh,
So yeah, I
man.
still have a YouTube channel actually
Wow.
under that tag, and so I started streaming under that.
Mhm.
And then I was kind of having fun with it. No one was really coming in or anything, but like once in a while the homies would drop by, and that alone was
Yeah.
fun enough for me.
Yeah.
And
facts.
so yeah, and then one day I decided to make a separate account because I was like, you know what, Organized Farts, it's its own thing, and it's a terrible tag for Melee. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like it's not even catchy, So I was like, all right, we need something new. So I just used my Discord tag, which was Slapman. And then the boy just came out of my ass. I don't even know where that came from. It's like
Nice.
Slapman.
Just pull it
Slapman
out.
was taken. I remember now.
Oh,
Slapman
wow.
was taken.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, Slapman boy.
Yeah.
And then made that about little over a year ago now, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Time flies.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been about 2 years, and then I think it's been about a year since how long has it been since we met?
We met it's been around a year at this point,
Right?
Yeah, like
Wow.
about a year, which is crazy.
Yeah, no, that's wild. Because I think
you're one of the earlier people in my stream as well. So
hell yeah, that's right.
yeah, but
I
then you
love me
started
some
coming
Kayfart.
around, yeah, like consistently, like I would say about a year ago.
Yeah. So I'd say that was right around when I started getting more on Twitch.
Yeah.
Um, because that was, your stream was one of the few streams that I watched. Your
Mm-hmm.
stream and who was I watching at the time? I think I tuned into Mango streams. It'd
Oh
be like
yeah,
Mango
yeah.
stream, and then I'd watch Kayfart.
Yeah, yeah, you told me about that actually when we were getting the Dave's hot
Yes,
chicken.
sir.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
Moo in chat. Oh my goodness.
the broski. Okay,
He's a great,
yeah,
great friend. Yeah, but
that's
anyways,
sick. Yeah, no, that's sick. It's funny that you say that too. You the boy, the Slapman boy came out because Slapman was taken. The same thing happened to me. Like on Twitch,
yeah.
I was just trying to be K, but
Oh,
it was taken. So I was like, well, okay. And I tried a bunch of numbers. All the numbers were taken. So I was like, all
are
right,
you serious?
I was like, Kmart, fuck it. And
Yeah.
then
I
yeah,
mean, Kmart is fire, bro.
I mean, it sticks. It's funny because in our when we're first starting these, we're like, oh, whatever. We're trying to come up with these names or whatever, but and then the random stuff we come up with just ends up sticking. Now everyone's like, oh, Kmarth, and I was like, I thought that name
Yeah.
was stupid as hell when I started. I was for sure. I was like, I'm just gonna change this at some point, but
Same.
things end up sticking with you.
It does, man. And you don't choose that; the people choose it for you.
Exactly, facts. But okay, so next question I want to ask. We're sticking with the streaming a little bit. I'm actually curious if you have any goals with streaming, or if you just kind of do it just to be chilling.
That's a spicer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it started off just chilling, and honestly, still for the most part, it's pretty chilling. Um, but I do have ambitions to want to make it a consistent thing for people.
Mm-hmm.
I think right now I haven't been able to create that structure yet,
Mm-hmm.
or like a regular streaming schedule, because I know like streaming meant a lot for me. Like when I first got into it, like when I was watching, like for example, you and like Mango, and then I get into AJ. Um, like those streams like really kind of is a big part of your day, like to just have on the side, or
Facts.
like whatever it is, and feels like you're talking to the homie or whatever, and you're listening to them talk and chill and play the game. And like it might not seem like a lot to some people, but to a lot of people it means a lot. And like
Absolutely.
so just knowing that, like I want to create a more like consistent structure for those people, and hopefully they'll, I'm not even really thinking about growth too much.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I'm really happy with like the people that are around right now. Like that's crazy. Like I remember the days when it'd be dead silent for the whole stream,
Yeah.
and then I'd be like, oh well, yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
All right, I guess.
Facts. It's the hardest part for sure.
It is, and like just doing it over and over. But then and then one person comes in, and that's enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember those days so vividly that like I can never forget it, and I remind myself of it. So like I don't really have too many ambitious plans about growing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to just keep it natural as I can.
I think that's a really good goal because I ask like because all the people I have on the pod obviously are like streamers or homies or whatever, and like I always like asking because the first like couple of questions are usually the same because I'm just curious because everyone has such different like stories of how they started or like what their goals are with it. Like take MF for example. We just had him on a couple of weeks ago. He was like, yeah, like I want to grow this shit and like do something with it, and I'm like, that's cool. And like having the homie vibe and just like having a place where people chill, that's also a cool goal. Like that's the beauty of Twitch is that we all can like have our own goals with what our stream is. Like even with AJ, like he's like, yeah, streaming would suck ass if like I didn't fuck with all the people in my chat, you know what I mean? Like it's all everybody kind of has their own flavor with it,
Yep.
Yeah. But okay, so I'm curious, like you kind of answered this a little bit, but like based off of your experience of streaming thus far, like how would you say it's been? Like we feel like you have a pretty good experience with streaming overall.
I'd say, well, first of all, shout out MF and AJ. Love you guys. Second of all, I honestly I feel like it's been going really. See, it feels like it's been going really well as of late, which has been great. But it's been a slow ride up, which I appreciate. Because like I said, I remember still too vividly, like days on end where no one comes in, or like one person comes in and then
Totally.
you say what's up and then they leave because they're like, oh shit, he's addressing me. Because like I think that's one of the hardest things to break out of, is when your stream has like 0 to 2 people, where it might feel pressuring to people to respond, and they feel
Yeah.
called out
Mm-hmm.
when the streamer tries to talk to them.
Totally.
And a large part of like introverts, like myself included, can be like that. And I've had experiences like that where being called out can feel uncomfortable. So I think that barrier is kind of hard to break. So like I was there for so long, and then I feel like I slowly started to see people showing up again and again, like the
Mm-hmm.
homies, right?
Yeah.
One of the first ones, I say this a lot, but Trench,
Mm-hmm.
that dude always came back for some reason. He'd
Yeah.
watch my ass, and
Mm-hmm.
he'd always say what's up, and I'd be like, dude, that's fucking like crazy. Like nobody in here, but like Trench be laughing at my shit
Yeah.
and like shit like that. And then it
Mm-hmm.
slowly started building, right?
Yeah.
And started meeting you guys, started meeting the homies, and they drop by and then they'd return. And I feel like the growth has been slow but very organic, and it just feels very natural. Like it
Mm-hmm.
hasn't felt, and I kind of want to keep it this way. Like I definitely don't want to overly grow, to the point where I have people in my chat that I don't even really know,
Yeah.
um, and stuff like that. Because like I really think this little subgroup that like you, AJ, all the homies are building.
Everybody. Yeah.
It's like
All of
this
us.
little group that nobody knows.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not
But it's
nobody
just
knows
like,
it. People know
yeah, I know
AJ,
what
but
you mean.
like,
I know what you mean. Yeah. It's like
but
tight
like,
knit.
there's this
It's
little
like a
bubble
tight
that
knit.
we have
Yeah. Yeah.
that's super. Actually, I think one of the most legit fucking groups out there that nobody talks about, and I
Absolutely.
think it's like super powerful.
I fuck with pretty much most of the people in our Twitch friend circle more than like my IRL friends. Like I have a couple IRL friends that I'm really close with, but outside of that, it's like the Twitch people are like my people. You know, like these are my fucking friends.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. No,
but
absolutely, man.
it's definitely important. I think it's interesting how you talked about the day ones. Like your day ones can truly get you through the worst times of like when there's no one there. When you find your
Absolutely.
small little, like it starts small, but you get your day ones, and then it's
Yes, sir.
like the trenchies, like my day ones, Big D,
Oh, Big D.
DSK, Mukavo,
Yeah,
like
let's go, DSK.
yeah, like those
Yeah,
are
Mukavo.
yeah. Although that guy, we don't talk about that guy, but no, it definitely like that's definitely a big part of staying in the game because that just keeps you, like it like makes it fun, you know what I mean? Because at first like streaming to know people is kind of like I don't even know if it's I don't even know if you would necessarily say it's not fun, but it's like you feel like something's missing, like
No,
especially when you get a
absolutely.
little taste of interaction, you're like, oh shit,
Yeah, no,
this is
definitely.
this is hella fun.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely. No, that gives you that like dopamine, that
mm-hmm.
like, it's just like,
Yeah.
wow, like we interacted. I'm
Yeah.
doing this for something.
Yeah, right.
I
Like we're
ain't just
doing there's something's going on.
Yeah, no,
Hey.
absolutely. No, definitely. Like the difference between like three, no, two and like five is not big,
Mm-hmm.
but the difference between zero and
Two,
two
yeah.
is
Yeah,
huge.
it's huge. I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah,
I agree with that
yeah.
completely. Yeah, but okay, so gonna switch gears a little bit here. I want to actually start talking about the
Good.
music now. The
Oh,
Slap
la
Man
música,
Boy jams.
la
So
música,
a
boy.
lot of this stuff, people. So Slap and I talk like a fair bit, but a lot of this
Yeah.
stuff are
Oh yeah.
questions like I've never asked him. This is all gonna be new for me, so I'm excited as well. Like this is gonna be. I hope you guys are gonna enjoy this. This is so I actually want to ask, like, what was your
Yeah.
first experience with music, and how are you introduced to it, if you remember?
Oh shit. All right. So, actually, from a young age, I had a lot of alone time, and I
Mm-hmm.
take a lot of walks outside. I was like that emo, sad kid, just
Okay.
always walking around.
Uh
So
huh.
I'd always have my earphones on. I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
shut the world out. That was like my whole thing. So I played games. That's why I listened to music. I was like, dude, real life kind of sucks right now, and I don't understand it. So I'm just gonna listen to music and play some games, and that's
Mm-hmm.
like all my mentality was doing.
Yeah.
And so ever since then, I grew very attached to music.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Developed this like really strong bond to it, and I never really thought about it. It was just part of me,
Mm-hmm.
just part of life. Always had a earphone on, and if people were
Yeah.
talking, I just have one side off.
Mm-hmm.
Always just be listening to music, and
Yeah.
it just add some flavor to my life, and just like help me kind of forget about the things that are going on, even for a
Uh-huh.
second.
Yeah.
And that's all it was for me.
Uh-huh.
And I listened to like all sorts of music. I used to like listen to a lot of rock, electronic music,
Mm.
hip hop music. Like I listened to a lot of Kanye. Kanye was dope.
Yeah.
Um, I could just keep going on with the names, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, I didn't really take music seriously ever. I didn't think I could make music because
Mm-hmm.
I thought it would be such a big process of like I have to learn and master this instrument, and then I have to
Absolutely.
go to a school and be accepted and strive and meet a band and record. That's the
Yeah.
only way I knew how music was made. So I was like, hell no, that sounds like crazy. I don't
Okay,
love
wait,
it
sorry.
that much.
Can I actually interrupt? Because I'm actually
Yeah,
curious. So is that? Do you think the reason you thought about music that way was that like an upbringing thing? Because I don't know
yeah.
how it is. Yeah, like over there. Like, is it something that you're taught that this is just kind of the way, or was that just your perception of it?
It was literally just my ignorance of not knowing
Mm.
that there were ways to make music,
Okay.
other ways to make music. Like
Yeah.
literally, there was mandatory high school band at our school,
Oh wow.
and because it was mandatory and stuff, I was just like, no, just like sleep through it, whatever. And I didn't. I was terrible at school because I just at the time didn't realize the importance of school, which I wish I did, but
Yeah.
it
Mm-hmm.
just happens to be like that. But
Yeah.
so I kind of brushed. I would always listen to music, but I'd never think about music as a profession.
Mm.
And college came around. I had no idea what I wanted to do as a major. I was like, literally, just I had no idea. I didn't even want to go to college. I was like, dude, I don't even know what I want to do, and I'm forced to like pick this major. So I just went as a non-major, actually, undecided,
Oh okay. Wow.
to the College of General Studies in Boston.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, so I studied there. Um, it was just basically high school with harder curriculum, basically,
Yeah. That makes
um,
sense.
which was worse. I was just like, this sucks even more. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
I didn't like this in the first place, and
Uh-huh.
I didn't really have a passion. I did have an art background. Um,
Oh wow.
so my parents are in animation, the animation business. So I
What?
just yeah, so I was always like, oh, I got to take art classes eventually because I got to help out my parents, or like that was kind of like my thing with art. So I didn't really have an attachment to it. So I didn't really get into that, and I didn't really have a passion. So but I was wandering in college, and I met this guy who had earphones on. So I was like, yo, this guy might be my homie.
Yeah.
So I
Same with my
walked up next
people.
to him. I was like, yeah. He was like
Uh,
sitting alone and shit, and I was like, yo, that's my dude. I'm gonna, intrude his space. Come on in. And I came on in, and I was like, yo, what's up? I'm Sean. What's up? And then he was like, oh, what's up? And he was all shy and stuff. We're both shy. And I was like, what you listening to? And he was like, oh, I listen to like Dead Mouse. And I was like, yo, that's fucking sick. I love Dead Mouse. And then we clicked instantly because I loved
yeah.
Dead Mouse at the time. And I met this guy, and we would hang out, and he'd show me these tracks that he made. Like he'd be like, yo, I made this
Mm.
track. Like, try listening to it. I'm like, you made this? And it'd be like electronic music, but I was like mind blown. I was like, I didn't know you by yourself. Like you did
Yeah.
this.
Uh-huh.
Like this is crazy. Like this is possible. And he's like, yeah, just on a laptop. I'm like, on a laptop?
Yeah. That's
Like,
crazy. That's so
bro.
good.
And I was like, hook me up with some of that shit. That's just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then so he gave me a free cracked version of a Fruity Loops, which is a music making program, and it's pretty popular. A lot of people get it
Okay.
because the crack is pretty available, the
Mm-hmm.
cracked version.
Mm-hmm.
And so, anyways, so I get this free version, and man, dude, it was so much fun. I had no idea what I was doing, but like my beats were so offbeat because I had no idea. I didn't know music theory. I didn't
Yeah.
pay attention to any of that. So I was just like making drum beats that go like And like, all right, let's go, let's fucking fire,
That's
dog.
sick, dude. That's
And then
amazing.
I started skipping class, dude, and I like hours went by, like 6 hours would go by when I thought like an hour had, and I was like, dude, this has never happened to me. This
Mhm.
must mean something.
Yeah.
Like I'm failing college, I'm failing shit, but I'm like, this must mean some shit. So ever since then, I just really dove into it, and I actually didn't, I wasn't able to make it through college,
Mhm.
but I decided to drop out early because I didn't want to waste any more of my parents' money with
Yeah.
that, knowing that I was like, yo, I'm super into music, and I wasn't doing well enough in courses and finding interest enough to really push myself. I
Mhm.
didn't really have this drive. I was more like, if shit goes down, I'd rather have shit go down. I didn't
S-
have this motivation, but I did have that motivation with making beats. So I
Uh-huh.
was like, yo, like I don't know a lot, but I know that I want to do this music shit. So
So, okay, can I
yeah.
actually am very curious. You mentioned something that's very interesting to me actually because
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
sure a lot of people's experience with this, like a lot of people have gone through this exact same thing. I'm actually
Yeah.
like, how were your parents with it? Were they like supportive? Were they like,
Oh
because
yeah,
especially because like what I
that's the
know
wild
of
one.
Korean culture is from what you've told me is like,
Yeah,
I'm actually very curious like how that conversation sort of went, how that went down. Like, were
yeah.
they, if you don't mind talking about that, like,
No, of
yeah,
course.
yeah,
No, of course, dude. I mean, it's this is a long time ago. I could talk about it.
mm-hmm.
I mean, and I have awesome parents. I mean,
Yeah,
shout out to them. But
mm-hmm.
in the beginning, I try to keep it a secret that I wasn't doing well in college for the longest time, right? So,
Absolutely,
for a while they were supportive and didn't know what was really going on. And then my dad, he's always been supportive of my visions. Like whatever he'd always, if I had an idea, he'd be like, "Yo, you should go for it." He was always the guy to, always try to. He'd buy me things and like he'd research things. Even to this day, actually, if I say I'm into something, he'd research things and like send me links, and he'd be like, "Yo, look into
wow,
this." Like he's super dope. Like so, he's
mm-hmm.
always been doing that. So I had that in my life, and my mom too. Shout out! This doesn't like mean my mom did less, but my
Mm-hmm.
mom at the time, of course, being in Asian culture, it's very normal to be very scared if your child doesn't go through the conventional um,
College route,
ladder, like
mm-hmm.
climb up the conventional ladder
Totally,
of getting good grades, going to school, college, get a degree, get a job,
mm-hmm.
and it's very impossible. Like I'm amazed looking back. Like at the time, I was like, "Oh, my mom doesn't get it," or whatever.
The emo
Yeah, I was
slap.
like, "Yeah, like fuck that."
Yeah, dude,
And
that's
then,
funny.
yeah, but then, like now looking back, that was her holding back, like understanding culture and understanding the pressure of everyone. I was an only child, so every time she'd meet someone, they'd be like, "Oh, how's your son doing?" And then they
Yeah,
literally the first thing they'd be like, "Oh, what kind of school did he go to, and how's he
mm-hmm.
doing?" So like, this kind of shit's a lot of pressure to Asian parents,
Absolutely,
and I'm not saying just Asian parents. I just know Asian culture
mm-hmm,
like
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I know what you
better.
mean.
So,
Mm-hmm.
um, but anyway, so she was freaking out. She was like, she was like, how could you not like finish school? Like,
Yeah,
you really can't do this. Like, because she's in her way, she was supporting me, right? I just
mm-hmm.
couldn't see it at the time,
Totally.
but she was supporting me, and so yeah, so like she was freaking out. She was like, oh man, you can't like what for this music thing? You're gonna do this for this music thing, and like, she was going through a lot of stress.
Yeah.
But then at that point, we had already fought so much. Me and my mom, we went through a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We just, it's just things that happened in my childhood. Like it just led to us having like a misunderstanding relationship.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and my dad wasn't around at the time, so it was a tougher relationship. So like at by that time, it was at least a little better in that she got to the point where she gave up and tried to understand me more because I kind of like stood my ground and I'd be like, yo, this is what I'm sorry, I don't know what else I can say. This is what I love and I
Yeah.
have a passion for this. And so it was probably very scary for her to trust me.
Mm-hmm.
And even for a long time after that, she'd be supportive up front, but I can see
You
the
could tell.
undertones of yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that she's like, oh, he'll be doing this for a while and then he'll stop and get back to his
Yeah.
kind of vibe,
Totally. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
right? Yeah, so which is understandable too.
Absolutely. I mean,
Mm.
honestly, I think that yeah, that sounds like because a lot of people, especially like because I did finish college, but that was because
Mm-hmm.
like kind of
Props,
what you said.
props.
Like no, dude, I hated it like just as much as you, but I like my parents were kind of like okay, yeah, and I didn't really have that thing that you had with like music, you know what I mean? Because if I did, then I would have probably been like, fuck this, like I just like video games, which is obviously the whole stream thing now, right?
Hell
But
yeah.
like I definitely think that is awesome. Like your parents, especially your dad, like that sounds dope as hell. Like to just
Oh
have
yeah.
your parents, like your dad, at least like in your corner like that, and even your mom who came around eventually. Because I know a lot of people whose parents will
Mm,
like disown them over shit like that. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
So I definitely think that's dope. And honestly, yeah, I was just curious because that was such. I feel like that's always a really important part of like all of us are, whether we want to admit it or not, like we're a product of our environment, whether however circumstances we were raised in, like that stuff is important and shapes who we are. But
Yeah, yeah.
I actually, so I think you gave me a good background on like your first experience with music, but do you remember sort of how you were like introduced to it, or was it just like you just from
Ooh,
what you can
like
remember, like you just always had a
ooh.
headphone in your ear? You know what I mean?
Well, wow. So I started with um I started with just listening to tunes on like the TV. And I
Mm.
remember I would always try to like remember them, memorize them and recite the lines word for word. And like I would really like doing that, like remembering melodies of the tunes and like I'd say it to myself. So like that's when I first started really listening to it. And then I'm sure the first time I really got into music was when my
My
dad,
dad.
my dad, my dad, he for Christmas he is coming over and he got me an iPad. No, not iPad. What the fuck? iPod.
Okay.
That
Okay.
was one of the first early iPods, the thick ass boys,
Mm-hmm.
and which was still popping at the time. And because before that, I think my only listening experiences was with my cousin's like Walkman.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd listen to music with that, but I didn't own one because it was too expensive for like
Oh,
my
okay.
age at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then my dad he treated me nice with that iPod. You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah.
So
Pops
after I
hooked
got
it
the
up.
iPad, yo, I was plugged in.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yo, where that LimeWire? Give me that LimeWire, dog.
LimeWire. That's a
Yeah,
throwback.
exactly.
Wow. Yeah.
Yo,
Okay.
absolutely. So I was ripping everything, like everything I could find, fucking jank ass versions of everything, just downloading it, and like that's kind of how it all really started of just listening, and then after that, I was just like plugged in.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, I think my uh, Game Boy, what was it, Advanced?
Mm-hmm.
I think was the thing that I was on the most.
Okay.
Oh, before that, it was the what was that? I forgot what it's called. The eggs, the Digimon eggs.
Eggs. Oh, the Tomagotchi is a
Toma,
Tomodachi or
Tomodachi,
Tamagotchi? Yeah,
Tomodachi,
Tamagotchi. Yeah.
Tamagotchi. Yeah, Tamagotchi.
Tamagotchi.
Yeah,
Tamagotchi.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. That's
That was
hilarious.
yeah, but like that was like my first. But that has nothing to do with music. But like
Mm-hmm.
that got into um, the Walkman and like all that, and then I eventually got the iPod. That's where I started listening to it. Tamagotchi.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah,
Trench got it.
Tamagotchi. Yeah, Trenchy's
Yeah,
always coming up with the clutch. Okay, so you you
cool.
you touched on this a little bit when you were talking about meeting your homie in college who put you on, but I actually want to
Yep.
dive a little bit more in depth with like some of the early influences on your musical taste and sort of what you feel like your musical taste is right now, because I know it's broad, but like what do you feel like some of the things are that sort of shaped you, like either it could be songs, artists, like whatever comes to mind.
Yeah. No, that's fire. So I think one of the first things that inspired me greatly was actually well, it started with Kanye's music. Actually, that's like the most vivid in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
is because Eminem was coming out at the time, 50 Cent, and like as a Asian kid with like I was like half white, so I looked different. So like I didn't really belong, and I didn't really understand any of the rap that like Eminem would talk about or like 50 Cent would talk about, or
Mm-hmm.
like the stuff they were saying just kind of went over my head.
Mm-hmm.
And rhythmically, it was fun, but like and the melodies were dope. But for me, like Kanye, he raps in a way that's very slow but simple, and
Mm-hmm.
he like delivers each word very like
Deliberately.
yeah, deliberately. Like he has a slow style that some people might like or not like, but either way, his I was listening to drop college dropout and graduation a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and when I listened to those, like I would actually hear the lyrics, and I don't know, for some reason that stuck with me since that day, and ever since then I've loved the hip hop. Like he got me into hip hop, and he got me into like in celebrate what is it called, graduation. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of, he uses a lot of like synth,
Mm-hmm.
like electronic synth stuff, but uses it with a hip hop like tempo and
Yeah.
drums, and like that really stuck to me, that kind of style, and like sample chopping and like putting it high pitched and changing it and stuff like that. Kanye like mastered that back in the day, and so that affected me a lot. And then I got into Daft Punk, Dead Mouse, super heavy.
Mm-hmm.
um, when I was learning guitar, I would listen to Muse a lot.
Okay. Yeah.
I listened to Green Day. I listened to a lot of Green Day too.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of other bands. These
Yeah.
are just like the main ones that are popping up into my head. I listen to a lot of Justice, which is very, like they're like electronic,
Okay.
very. They have a French, very French influence.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started getting into stuff like FKJ, which is like the melodical French house music
Okay. That's
type
sick. Yeah.
vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I think what ultimately kind of tied everything together was this producer named Mr. Carmack.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Now I don't know if many people know him, but he's like a bigger name in the underground scene. But he's a
Okay. Word.
really talented producer. He's made so many like beats at this point, but he used to do this thing where it would be like electronic music, but like what I described earlier with Kanye stuff that triggered the inspiration, like the electronic music mixed with the hip hop vibe.
Mm-hmm.
He'd do that really well, and
Yeah.
he really like made me want to do stuff like that. Like it's like, oh, like hip hop doesn't necessarily have to be like one style. Like it could be like any kind of sound, but
Mm-hmm.
as long as you got the vibe of it, it can be
Yeah.
considered and
It's
felt
like the
like
soul
felt
of it.
as hip
Yeah.
hop. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And
Mm-hmm.
not to mention, I love soul like sampling. And then I got into like Dilla, and then I
Mm-hmm.
got into New Javis.
Oh
New
yes.
Javis was one of my OG inspirations, actually. New Javis and Kanye, those two.
Facts. Facts. Yeah.
Um, New Javis, Free Tempo was another group that I loved.
Okay.
But all of these influences kind of, it's all like ranges from like the melodic,
Mm-hmm.
and then I've been getting into soul. Like I love D'Angelo.
Oh wow.
Um,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
uh,
That's a really broad like whatever you want to call a spectrum, I guess, of taste. That's really interesting.
yeah, I had like a jazz phase too.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
That's my shit. Yeah. That's
Hell yeah,
I'm all
baby!
about the jazz. Yeah. No, I
Fuck
think
yeah.
that's incredible. Like I think that yeah, I always am
Ugh.
impressed when people have such a wide array of taste because I listen to very specific shit. You know what I mean? I listen to hip
Yeah,
hop. I listen to jazz. I listen to like
yeah.
jazz rap, I guess, and then like video game music, and like that's pretty much it. Like that, like on my playlist, most of that shit is like that's pretty much all you will find. But I think it's
I mean,
always
I see you
really
have a
cool.
broad ear.
Yeah, I think so too. It just that like I feel like a lot of the stuff I listen to is varied, but just like in the same sort of genre, I guess.
I
But
see, I see. Yeah.
yeah, either. So I'm actually curious. Like, I guess you already kind of talked about this a little bit, but like, do you have some favorite artists or producers right now that you're just on repeat, just bumping? I'm just curious.
Well, um, I gotta say, I mean, I'm a huge Kendrick fan.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a Kendrick fan for a minute, like since I heard him. His the production team behind his beats, his the whole TDE group that does his label that does all his artwork,
Mm-hmm.
music, and obviously his like lyrics,
Yeah.
flow, and everything.
Facts.
But I'm a huge fan of all of it, like, and down to the beats, and like it's not only like Kendrick's beat choices, but like the team he works with and the beats that, like the producers that he works with. Like Knowledge is a big one.
Mm.
He's a huge inspiration of mine.
Yeah.
Um, Knowledge, he's really good with like using lo-fi as in like low frequency, like it would be like sounds that are like sound muffled because they're just lower quality, and like
Mm-hmm.
little crunched sound samples that maybe most producers might be like, this is not a good quality sound, and move on.
Mm-hmm.
Knowledge would pick all those up, the grungy sounds, and he makes beautiful stuff out of that.
Yeah. That's
um
awesome.
but like those two, Knowledge has been big. I've been listening to uh I've been listening to a wide range, of course, but the ones that I keep going back to right now has been, ooh, I've been listening to a lot of video game music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've been
uh
I've been hearing that on the streams too.
Hell yeah, but not a certain artist, but it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely been really. Oh, actually, there's this composer named Austin Wintory who
Mm-hmm.
composed like songs for Journey,
Oh, okay.
um, for Abzu, which
Oh,
is like
okay.
the
Yeah.
same
All those
company. Yeah,
exploration. Yeah. Like sort of atmospheric games.
yeah. He's one of the goated composers in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion.
Yeah.
Um, and I've been listening to him a lot. Shit. Who else have I been listening to these days? I've been listening to. Ooh, I still listen to. There are a few beats that I still listen to. Of Nujabes
Mm,
quite
oh,
often.
absolutely. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
those are just like always gonna be on repeat. You know, like
Oh yeah,
Java's beats
classics.
will never get old. I mean, I think you gave us a lot. I was just curious, like to anyone
I could
who's
keep going.
listening. Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, to anyone who's listening is like, they might be looking for some new peeps. Like, obviously Slap and all the people in our community can vouch for him. Man's has
Hell
got
yeah, Salo.
man, man's has got the musical ear. Salo, that's my boy. Love that man.
I love
But
Salo.
okay, so now you also talked about this a little bit in your college story, but I want to get the juicy, the dirt on like your
So
initial experience in making music. You said your homie sort of
yeah.
showed you that I can't remember what you called it, the crack, yeah, the crack program
The
or whatever.
crack.
Yeah, I can't
Yeah,
the
yeah.
crack. Yeah,
The
I
good
can't
crack.
remember what it was called. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
we'll call it the
what
crack.
do you
Yeah.
like your initial experience with making music to the point where you were like, okay, like I might be that fucking guy, like I might be onto something here,
Ooh. Yeah, yeah. Shit. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I still with music has never felt. I mean, I felt that more recently, but that's
Mm-hmm.
after like almost like a 8 9 year total journey, like
Totally.
on and off, but like still mostly, yeah, I'd say about 9 years. But now I could say I have something, but like back then it was literally just out of passion. Like it literally, I would literally just listen to songs and try to emulate them because I didn't know music theory or anything. So I just hit the keyboard till I heard the note I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
hear, or like try to do it over and over and trial and error till I
Mm-hmm.
got the right sound. And that's just kind of how I am.
Yeah,
I like just butting my head against the wall and figuring it out like piece by piece.
that's awesome.
Kind of my style.
Mm-hmm.
But so like I don't know it, but like recently, maybe about like 4 years ago, 3 years ago, I guess it's been some time now, but I definitely developed way more of a confidence where I could stand proud and be like, I can create ideas that are organic to me. And I think that was a very hard thing to say before. And I think that's
Yeah.
a journey that I think with all artists is a journey we all go through. And it's like really hard because you got to get used to your medium to the point where even Melee is identical. It's like getting used to your medium, which could be, the paintbrush, the
Yeah.
music program, like the crack we're talking about, or
The crack,
yeah,
the good stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, or the GameCube controller, and like stuff like that, the more comfortable you get with it, the more organic your ideas come out, and also the less you chase. I think like for a long time I was like chasing people's ideas. It's good to get
Mm.
inspired by them, but like I would put them above me instead of
Mm-hmm.
put them under me as a foundation and go up. You know what I mean?
Damn, that was, dude. Are y'all listen? Did this man is dropping, just dropping wisdom
No.
right now? I have a big old smile on my face, dude. That's like, that's really profound. I don't make music, but I absolutely understand what you're talking about because that can be applied to so many other
But
things. Like when you watch someone who you respect or someone who
yeah,
you are like trying to emulate, like it's very easy to be like, okay, I gotta like do this instead of adding it to your voice, to your flavor, or whatever you want to call it. That's
right,
beautiful,
right.
dude.
Nah, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's something that I had to learn and realize over my career was that
Mm-hmm.
I think, and that differentiates a lot of people, in my opinion, a lot of artists, a lot of creators, a lot of competitors, is that like people kind of get stuck there. I think that's a very easy place to get stuck. Like it's like one of those things where the more you go back to the very basic roots of things, like the less you think about all that complicated stuff, like because a lot of people, the more they study something, the more they get into a field, they start overthinking because they have so much
Absolutely.
knowledge and they're like, things have to be this way, things
Mm-hmm.
have to be, or
It's
beats
harder
have
to
to be
become
like this.
creative that way. It's harder to be creative that way
Absolutely.
for sure.
Oh, the amount of people I've run into who like
Mm.
I've produced with who would just scrap songs because the sound quality of it doesn't sound good, but it actually sounded great. It just had a different vibe. And like I think like people don't see that because they're so like stuck on how it should be. And like I was right there, and then the moment I found confidence was like, yeah, about 3-4 years ago. Not a specific point, but I think mentally I started realizing that like literally the more you are yourself, the easier it is to stand out.
Yeah,
Literally, it's not like literally the moment you try to chase something that's not you, you're like going one step back. Like every
absolutely.
time, like every
It's
time, if you want to stand out, you gotta just literally just do you. And the more authentic that is, you're gonna attract people who want that. And
you're
like it's
spitting right now, and that is, bro, because that is so much like it is so hard for a lot of people to actually do that. You know what I mean? Like
it
actually
is.
be true to yourself and like
And me
show
too.
like your put your myself included, like all of us. I'm sure we're all like on that constant journey of like actually trying to like, because for a we got to figure out a who we are, and then b like actually broadcast that in like a genuine way. That's really hard to do, especially like because it's one thing, like it's easy to emulate something, and if people don't like it, like you can switch up, you know what I mean? If I'm like, if you know what I mean, like if I'm right now live streaming and being myself, and then people are like, ah, who's this fucking corny ass I'm like, ah, damn. I'm like,
Ah,
damn it,
damn.
it's like, okay, well that's
Yeah.
that sucks. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
No,
I
for
think
sure.
like when you actually have something to offer and you are like being your actual self, like I'm saying, like yeah, people fuck with it because like we were talking about yesterday, like we were listening to your music and we were like, yeah, bro, Slaps got the juice, man.
Dude,
Slaps
no, I
Slaps got the juice,
don't.
bro. We love it.
No.
I mean, hey, we support our homies around here, but yeah,
Shucks,
no,
man.
yeah,
Shucks. Big shuckies. No, but
but
like, dude,
mhm.
appreciate that. Oh,
No,
sorry. Go ahead.
absolutely. Yeah, no. I was so yeah. It's I think you answered that really well. Initial experience with making music and just talking about your sort of process. I'm curious. Like, I know you and I talked about this a little bit. Like, you're kind of not working on stuff as much right now, but I'm
Yeah.
actually curious to hear about your process. Actually, you know what? Let me rewind a little bit because you were
Yeah.
mentioning before that you didn't actually know music theory. Is that something you went back and were like, okay, maybe I should learn this, or to this day you still like
Ooh.
have never really?
Uh, so,
Mm-hmm.
I realized that way later that I should have probably paid attention to a lot of it. But I gotta say, the way I approached music has allowed me to create some wild shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like shit that's totally out of left field that
Yeah.
people ask. Like I to the point where there's some projects where like you make it, and I'm not saying like it's just personal to a personal feeling where I make it. I'm not saying it's like crazy good to other people, but personally I'd make it and I'm like, I don't know how the hell I did that. I can't do that again. Like that's one of a kind.
Mm-hmm.
Like I won't be able to recreate that or explain to someone how I did it. And like that's kind of what I chase. And to do that, that's very anti music theory. Music theory is very built around, and you know, people might disagree with my opinion on it, but
Absolutely.
I think there's strengths to that approach. But you know, like music theory would be like, oh, like this makes you feel this way because this is you know, C major chord, and this made you feel this way because this was a minor chord, and this was structured in a way where it fluctuates up and down and builds up to something, and tempo wise, it's the song is broken down into, you know, a bridge, a chorus, or you know, it's like there are all these things you can break it down to.
Mm-hmm.
But literally, I've learned that at least for music, like it doesn't fucking matter what kind of music theory you know or what kind of music theory you use. If it doesn't bop, it don't bop. But that's like, and I think that's
don't bop. That's a Slapman
literally is
quote
the
right
rule.
there.
Dude,
Somebody
I
fucking
follow that.
put that
like,
shit on a poster.
dude, I mean, I believe that with anything, even in melee. Like,
Absolutely.
if everything feels too complicated, if it just didn't feel good, or if it didn't look good, or if it wasn't good, it wasn't good. There's nothing more to it. And like, it's a very abstract concept, but like I think understanding that art is abstract is important. Not trying to break it down, because I've met plenty of people who spent years and years in music theory, can play music instruments to death, like beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But like I've heard,
Feelings
you know,
missing.
the music they produce, and the feelings not there at all.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like, and you know that some people say, oh, you just got it or you don't, but honestly I think it's something you can work on. I think that people without it don't have it because they don't believe in it. They don't believe in abstract, like they don't believe in that there is something to not logical things. Like I think that's a very big thing that for me that helped transform my music, was to break all of that and just literally just be like, all right, let's play a sound. I don't care, because I used to study like frequencies and stuff. Not I didn't even learn music theory. But I'm like, I was trying to, you know, figure out music frequencies and stuff, and I was like getting to a point where I'd be like, oh, this music frequency, it's too high, so it's gonna like pierce people's ears, or it's too low, it's gonna do this. And then my brain started getting too complicated when I was making music. And then one day I just decided to like just stop doing that, just stop thinking about all the bullshit, and then just literally, if it bops, it bops. If it doesn't bop, it bops. Like that's. And then shit started, like people started reacting better. They started thinking it's way more authentic. I thought it was way more colorful. Like things happened the moment I started to simplify thoughts into that. And I don't know, I think it just helps simplify a lot of like micro concepts that might make your head all complicated. You know, you could just kind of clear that by just making it, like putting it under the roof of like, does it bop? Yes or no?
Yeah. Does it bop?
You know?
Yes or no? Okay,
if it doesn't, move on.
Like the flow chart. Yeah.
Where's the bop?
Dude, I think that's actually very beautifully put, because much like it's like a lot of things in life where everyone can kind of have their own approach to it, you know what I mean? Like I'm sure that there, like, I don't know this myself because I haven't studied music, but I'm sure there are pros and cons to like being super into music theory. I'm sure there are pros and cons to just going based off a feel, but either way, like everyone sort of has to find their happy middle of like what works for them, you know what I mean? Like what works for for Salo might not work for Slap. What works for AJ, what works for Mukavo might not work for Slap, you know what I mean? Like it's all you just have to like figure out what you works for you personally. And I honestly, based off of what you're telling me, it seems like you've done a pretty good job with that, which is impressive, because it takes a lot of people time to even figure that out about themselves, you know what I mean? Because if you were like a lot of people might talk to someone that they know, and then they'd be like, dude, you gotta go do music theory, and then it'd be like, okay, let me go do this. But you know, it sort of sounds like you're like, okay, well, that might not work for me, so let me try and go do my own thing. And like that shit is like definitely harder than a lot of people give themselves credit for. So kudos to my
Thanks,
boy.
man.
Yeah,
Wow, like
absolutely.
that's deep of you to see that.
Yeah, no, I definitely because I think I expanded my horizons a lot when I went to college. I got to meet a lot of different people, and I was like, huh, like
Awesome.
people are a lot different than I think they are sometimes. So there's like a lot of different perspectives out there and stuff. But
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
actually very curious about this. This is kind of an on the spot
Yeah,
question, so it might be a little hard to answer. But
yeah.
do you
Anything, anything.
have any favorite tracks that you've produced or featured on? Like some, like some projects that you're like, okay, this one was
Ooh,
like, I love this. Like you could give me one, you could give me 10, you could give me whatever you feel like is like
ooh.
some stuff that you're like, okay, this was kind of hot.
Oh shit! I don't know about kind
Yeah,
of
but
hot. See,
yeah, like
ooh.
stuff that you personally enjoyed. Like I know that's
Well,
a hard one. You can skip it if you don't have anything.
no, no, not at all. I don't have many like achievements that can be like really seen or shown, I guess.
No, no, no. I'm talking
But
about your own personal, yeah, like what you
oh, of
were like.
course.
I love this.
I mean, one thing that I was proud of is when I was like earlier in my day, like maybe like 3 years in, I got to work with one of the artists from, I don't know if you know the song Ichima,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like this Korean trap song that went viral for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and then that that group exploded. It was like a group of three people, three Korean artists, and then along with two like Japanese artists, I think they collabed with. But
Mm-hmm.
that group started blowing up from that song,
Oh wow.
and I got the pleasure to work and produce a single for one of the artists. And I
Wow.
don't know how I feel about the song. It's all
Uh
right,
huh. Yeah.
you know,
Uh
but
huh.
I'm still proud that I got to do it. The experience was, wild, and
Yeah.
it was like his first single, so that was really
That's
cool.
cool, dude. Yeah, that's
Uh,
really cool. What?
but yeah, so that was a cool experience.
Mm-hmm. I mean, people in chat know,
Uh,
so hey, you're on something.
yeah, yeah. No, I
Yeah.
mean, but yeah. So that was a pretty cool moment. I produced. Yeah, I mean, there are definitely things that I produced that I'm very proud of. Like recently, I got to produce for NFT video game, and I got to compose their theme song that plays in
Wow.
the background.
Uh huh.
And I was really happy with that one because
Uh
it was
huh.
like very not. It has no beat in it. It's just very. It just has strings and stuff in it, and I was just. At not knowing music theory, it's very scary to kind of go for stuff like that. It's easier to
Yeah.
just chop stuff up with like punching drums, so people forget about the fact that it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like with like compositions for video game music, it's very different. It's a very different
Absolutely.
type of feel. I was just
Mm-hmm.
really proud of that. And that was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping to compose for more games because I have a lot of mini little experiences and like
Mm-hmm.
interests. Video game music being one of my biggest inspirations that I didn't talk about earlier too
For
much,
sure.
but
Mm-hmm.
that's definitely we talk about that. We
We
bond
talk
over
about,
that a
yeah. I was
lot.
about to say all the time. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
yeah, that's dope, dude. Like I didn't even know that you were that like any of that stuff. Like, cause I was just curious myself. Like cause obviously to people watching, Slap is a very humble guy. He doesn't like boast about himself and
No.
all that stuff. So like whenever you want to get the gold, you gotta dig a little sometimes.
Dude,
You
you're
gotta
so good at this shit.
you gotta get in there. But no, I love hearing about that. Like I love hearing my homies what they're proud of, like the stuff that they worked on. I'm friends with a lot of talented people, so you
And
know.
I appreciate that, man.
So this is something I wanted to ask you a
Yes,
while
sir.
back, but I just never came up. But you were telling me like this was around sometime last year. I couldn't make it to your show because I was ironically in Georgia where I am right now.
No
um
worries, no
yeah,
worries.
with your live show, but I actually wanted to talk about that because I don't know how much
Yeah.
experience you have with performing live, but like can you talk about sort of the experience of performing live as opposed to like being at, because I've seen Slap, he has a very nice at home studio where he like he has a whole setup and stuff. Like what is
In my
it
little
like
spot.
performing music for like in front of people and like doing shows as opposed to like being in the studio and just like fucking around a little bit, you know what I mean?
Ooh. That's a great question. I've performed 3 times so far, so not too much, but I'm starting to get to the point where I'm getting my, hopefully, nerves out, because I am a very nervous person. Like, I was the kid that had like the piece of paper standing in front of class in Chinese class in middle school, with my hand like shaking like crazy, dude. You could hear the paper, like you could hear the from my nervousness, and I just couldn't do it. Like, I had the worst nerves. Like, I still do. I had to. It's like a demon that I have to learn to face.
Fight the demons, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's one of the. I know some people have it definitely more natural, and I know some people don't even have nerves. I definitely know people who are just like, no, it's exciting when I'm up there, but I'm definitely one of the ones that want to like cave in when I see that, and like I really have to be like, no, just be confident. They're just human beings. I gotta like go through that in my head, and so performing live, like the first time, it was kind of nerve wracking, but thankfully it was like in a club, so I didn't have to be that good. I just had to and like rap music is a lot easier to perform, I gotta say. Like, I mean, it's not easy, but it's
for sure
a lot easier in that it's a lot more forgiving.
Okay, yeah.
Like if you're a singer and you're slightly flat on that note, or like you fuck up,
saying.
it's like
Yeah.
people will be like, "Oh shit, yo, this guy actually sucks live."
Yeah,
but like,
yeah.
if you're a rapper and the song's bumping enough, and then you forget your lyrics, but you just go like, "Yeah, bitch," then like people are like, "All right, cool, this guy's kind of cool." And like that's kind of the blessing that rap music has. So it was like I had like a fallback, so that was not bad. But it was fun. It's very exhausting, especially mentally. Afterwards, the crash is pretty big, especially just because of the type of person I am. Because, like you said, I'm very comfortable in my own space. Like that's my zone where I like to create.
Where the introvert bros.
Yeah, exactly. That's just like where we thrive, and that's where we heal. Whereas some people, they oh shoot, they heal from like being outside, interacting with people, and it's very different. And I definitely don't get that. Unfortunately, I don't get the charge from like meeting a bunch of people. I get drained, but not in a bad way.
Yeah,
just like I feel like it's like working out. Yeah, exactly. That's like a good way to put it. So it's like a tired more than exhausted. But after a show, though, it's like with people you don't know, and like just worried about, with my nerves and just being. There's this one time, actually, this is actually a pretty funny story, where it was middle school prom, first year, and I just went, no partner. And then I was just this chubby kid, not knowing what to do, sitting in the corner, not interacting. And one of the teachers that I was kind of close to, she was like DJing. And then I had this song that I really wanted to play. I forgot what song it was, though, but it was like this old school song. And I was like, I bet if I play this song right now, people are going to bop to it. Like, gonna go crazy.
Yeah.
And then that was the first time I ever had the courage, and I walked up and I was like, can I play this song? And then the teacher was like, yeah, sure, go for it. And then I plugged it in, I played it, literally everyone walks off the floor.
Oh no.
Literally everyone walks off the floor, bro.
The first time of the first instance of it don't bop. Slap he learned early.
Oh, I got don't bop hella hard.
He learned. Damn.
Oh yeah.
That's fucked up.
So that being my first experience makes it a little more of a challenge for me when I go on live. I have like a little PTSD, little trauma from that.
I'm sure.
So that's going on in my head. So like that comes down to rehearsal. Just like making sure you have your song down. Like you just practice. And my most recent show, the one you couldn't make, I actually made a song just for that show.
Okay. Wow.
And I didn't have much time to practice. I had maybe like a day.
Wow.
And I ended up forgetting like like half the lyrics during the show. Like I had it down in a
Yeah.
void. Like when I was in my room, I was just like, okay,
Yeah.
sometimes I don't fuck up, sometimes I do. There's some
Mm-hmm.
parts that I fuck up. And then
Yeah.
in the show, when the show happened, like, oh god, I was like,
Yeah.
I was like so wrong.
Yeah.
And then I got off and I was like, I just blew that shit. And then people were like,
Uh-huh.
yo, good job. That was fucking lit. And I was like, dude, I fucking blew that. And they're like, what do you
Yeah.
mean? And they didn't notice, thankfully,
Yeah.
which is amazing. They were just
Mhm.
like drunk, having a good
Mhm.
time. The music was loud, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I guess any sound I made just like sound lit,
Mm-hmm.
thankfully. So
Yeah.
it didn't come off as how bad I fucked up, but that tough to finish through. Because when you're on stage, dude, it feels so different. Like you don't hear the music nearly as well because the speakers are facing away from you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it actually sounds pretty dead quiet depending on what kind of stage you are on. But like it's
Oh
a
yeah.
lot quieter on stage,
I'm sure that can
and you
throw
can
you
hear
off.
your yeah. It's definitely not as lit for you,
Mm-hmm.
and like you're the one who has to carry the turn up. Like you can't unless
Yeah.
you're a big artist and you
Mm-hmm.
have fans that are going to turn up for you.
Yeah.
If you're doing the show, you have to bring the energy. Like if you're not bringing it, why else would anyone, right? So
Yeah.
that's
Absolutely.
you establish the floor line of the energy you want in the crowd, right?
Mm-hmm.
At least.
Yeah.
And but you don't want to weird them out too with too much energy.
Too much. Yeah. I was about to
But
say there's definitely a
yeah,
balance. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So but like there is a bit of like, okay, this is not that lit right now, but I gotta make it look lit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of that where it's like I could be just kind of pacing around, but that would be weird, so I'm gonna turn the fuck up, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like there's kind of a lot of that, and you hear a lot of your like foot thudding because it's not that loud. You hear doom, doom, and you're like, this is kind of not lit, but it looks lit on the opposite end
Okay.
because it's loud as fuck, right?
I
So
see.
it's kind of like little things that I had to learn, and like really good experiences, and like hearing my own beats on live speakers. That's a whole different experience. Like I got to go to a beat competition in
Wow.
Canada, which was super cool.
That's amazing.
One of my favorite producers, Boy Wanda, he was hosting it, so I signed up and got lucky enough to get in it. So that was really fun too. That was actually another proud moment.
That's
That was
sick.
really cool.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Okay, see, that's what I was saying, bro. Slap's so humble. He doesn't even have the. He's like, oh yeah, that was another cool thing. You know what I mean? Like, Slap is
Not at all.
just on that shit, bro. But
No, not
no,
at all.
that's actually pretty amazing. Like, I feel like, so having all those 3 live experiences under your belt, do you feel like that's something you want to do more, or is it kind of like, like I prefer to just make the shit and then just like do stuff for people rather than being the one who's like up front and center?
I definitely. So I like, as corny as it is, like I genuinely think like discomfort, things that like aren't comfortable, are the things you need to chase, because that means that it's the discomfort and the I don't want to do that. That feeling is there because you're not good at it,
Mm-hmm.
and you're gonna struggle,
Yep.
and you'd rather probably not struggle. But that getting used to that kind of is constantly avoiding any new paths that might open.
Yeah.
And the more comfortable you get, the thicker the doors get, the heavier
Mhm.
the doors get,
Mm-hmm.
to even try new things, because you're like, that's why you see a lot of people in their older years, they'd be like, I don't do that.
Yep.
But like they can actually give it a shot, but it's
Mhm.
just that they've built this barrier up, and I really want to keep that barrier broken, because as an artist, like I read this
You have
quote
to,
on
yeah.
at a restaurant.
Mm.
Yeah, you have to. But it said, I think the artist dies when the child inside of them dies, or something like that.
Mm.
Something
Mhm.
like, and like that made me think about that a lot, and I think it's very true. Because a lot of the things that, I don't know, let's say you're at a restaurant and everyone's acting all adult and being all proper, and you want to play with a napkin,
Yeah.
and like sure, people like let's say you and your friend, you just want to goof off.
Mm-hmm.
I think that those moments are really important to do. If it's not
Absolutely.
doing any harm, I think it's keeping the energy of like the child and creativity alive, and that doesn't mean you're childish. It just means you're feeling the emotion and
Mhm.
you're experiencing it instead of suppressing it.
Absolutely. You want to be childlike in the right ways.
Yeah. Well, yeah, just childlike in the sense that you're more pure. You have a pure connection to your emotions because the older you
Mm-hmm.
get, that connection to your emotions gets layered, thicker and thicker and harder to understand. And like that's why
Absolutely.
so many people get disconnected with their emotions. I do too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so for me the path back is, even if I get called emotional, even if I get called emo or caring too much about something or whatever it is, or like too excited or too loud, like I want to feel it and
Mm-hmm.
then apologize, not apologize, but like, and then deal with whatever, if anyone wants to have an opinion, whatever. But like, I want to feel it first. You know what I mean? Like, I want to feel these emotions and let them
Mm-hmm.
come and not be like, oh, I'm an adult now. I'm not going to cry or like whatever it is. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important to growing um, personally, and I see that in everyone. Like people I respect, they're always trying things even if they're not good at it, and like I think that creates new connections in your brain. So like at a scientific level, chemical level, I think it like you grow
Mm-hmm.
because your brain just works in ways that it hasn't before. Of course,
Absolutely.
there's like not doing things you don't like. That's fine. I'm not saying like everyone should do things they
But
don't
they're
like,
like,
but like
yeah, they're like, especially in your field, you know what I mean? Like there might be things we're uncomfortable with as streamers, but will make us better, as opposed to just like streaming a game we don't like. You know what I mean? Like there's a
right.
difference. You know,
No,
there's a
absolutely,
difference.
exactly. There's a
Yeah,
huge difference,
yeah.
and yeah. So long. I was sorry for the long answer, but
No, I
back
love
to your
that.
question. I always want to take
Mhm,
opportunities to perform,
mhm,
even if I'm not good. Like,
mhm.
and it's wild. Some people think that I'm all right in front of crowds, or like some people think I'm extroverted at times, and I'm like, dude, I'm not. But at the same time, I do want to exercise that part of me. Like I don't want to just avoid, like comfort can be very scary.
Yeah,
Like and you can't even enjoy comfort when you get too comfortable anyways. You need
yeah,
to like put yourself in discomfort. That's why like taking your shoes off after work is so much better than like just chilling all day at home and taking your shoes off.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like a
yep.
totally different feeling, and like
Mhm.
you need to experience, it's all about balance, like you said earlier
Balance.
too.
Mhm.
Everyone, no matter which field or what part of the spectrum you're at, I think finding that balance is crucial. And for that to happen, you need to kind of like at least reconsider the things you walled out back in the past. Like,
Totally.
just take another look at it and be like, do I really need to be this critical, or can I be more open to it? Something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, yes, I'd love to. I'd love to perform more. It
Yeah.
made me feel like I grew as a person.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Slap,
And
man,
so
just dropping the wisdom. I mean, that's all I got for you here, bro. Like that's everything I had.
wow.
We're just over an hour. I mean, I
Wow,
had
it's
another
already
one,
been an
but it's kind
hour.
of like, yeah,
Wow.
like dude, that was like amazing. I love this was so fun. This
Dude, that
was
was great.
this was incredible. Thank you so much for hopping on. You know, my brother,
Dude, of course.
my valley boy.
Dude, of course. This is
Somebody
the
in
Valley
the
Boys,
chat,
baby.
if you're in here not following Slap, please do yourself a
Don't
favor.
follow me.
Exclamation mark
Follow me.
guest. Exclamation mark guest. Hit that. Get the
Sub.
Slapman Twitch.
Oh my god.
Go do yourself a favor, bro, because this guy, I love this man. I actually love this man.
Dude.
And
Love you too,
Slap,
homie. Of
thank you so much for hopping on, bro. You gave us some
course.
beautiful insight. I loved hearing about your background in music. I definitely will have you on again someday.
Dude, please. I'd love
Yeah,
to talk
this
more,
was so
man. Like
fun.
that was so
I
fun.
hope you had a good time too. Like this was really fun
I
for
had a
me for sure.
blast. I had a
Yeah,
blast, dude. Dude, I could just keep going, but like, dude, for the sakes of the podcast, we'll cut it here. But I'm so down to like come again
yeah,
whenever,
absolutely,
whenever you
bro.
have.
That was amazing. Thank you so much, my brother. I'll talk to you soon.
All right,
And
brother.
yeah, I can't wait to see you when I get back.
I love you, bud.
Yeah, I love you too, bud. See ya.
Have a great day.
You too.
Peace, everyone.
That was it. That was episode 5, everybody. That was amazing. That was amazing. I had a great time. That was, you know, honestly, dude, I feel like this is so it's very weird podcasting, like I feel like I still haven't decided on the vibe I want yet, but I feel like today's was like, because sometimes it's a little more serious, sometimes like more jokey, you know, like it's very, I don't know, because now that I'm thinking back, like I for sure will have repeat guests because I feel like I'm getting better at asking questions and stuff, you know what I mean? Like, because now I'm even thinking back to the Sallow interview where I'm like, damn, like I have so many other things I could have asked that would have been like better, you know what I mean? Like I feel like I doing my earlier guess a disservice because I'm not like that good at it yet, but I definitely feel like I'm getting better. And shout outs to Slap too, brought the energy. Oh, Slaps in chat, I love you, brother. Yeah, no, that was amazing, you know, because that's stuff I've always wanted to ask Slap too, you know. Like I was very deliberate to not talk about Melee, but I feel like I actually could have added more if we talked about it. I feel like I don't have to be so cut and dry. But either way, like I had fun. I feel like I'm getting better at this. So thanks, guys. I appreciate all the love for real. Klopp, Mukavo, DSK, Mello, Time, what's up? All my people. Andre, I saw Andre was in here. MF. All my bros for real. Yeah, sorry I can't be talking to y'all during that shit, you know, but you know I'm always reading chat, so I'm much love, y'all. Slap, get out of here, bro. Get out of here. That was prime, bro. That was fucking prime. So yeah, I don't know who I'm gonna have on next week, I gotta be honest. I have like a fake schedule, but it's I call it fake because I don't follow that shit at all. Slap was not on my schedule, and then I was like, I feel like talking to Slap, so I hit up Slap on the DMs. I was like, hey, bro, let's get Slap in here. So you know, I'll yeah, I probably should like start announcing these and shit, but 15 viewers, goddamn, y'all came through for the slappers, bro. Slap, hey, these are your people here. Slap, I'm saying 15 viewers. I don't know, bro. See, you gotta hype Slap up because he will shy away from it. You gotta bring him. You gotta put the juice on him. You know. Valley Bros more like Bang Bros. Absolutely. Zach. Also, the corny ass comment, Zach, I saw earlier. I laughed. I was trying not to laugh, but I did laugh internally. I didn't want to laugh out loud while Slap was talking, but I was laughing. Mikavo, you'll be on soon, don't worry. I'm saving Moo because I talk to Moo the most out of like anyone. So it's like, okay, I gotta find an angle before I bring Moo on, you know. But don't worry, I'm constantly thinking. I'm always in podcast mode now. But Moo next week? No, not next week. I gotta save Moo for a rainy day, you know. That's my ringer. But I talk to this fucker like 3-4 times a week anyways. I'm sick of him. JK, you know I love you, brother. Zach dodging like dude, that meme in the Discord, that shit's so funny. That's a good one. But yeah, much love everybody, for real. I appreciate all y'all. This was fun. That was a really good gif. Send y'all over to my boy Famine, because I fucking love that guy, and I told him I would rate him afterward. Yeah, but I appreciate everybody's listening. This is gonna go on YouTube at some point. The MF episode should be up in like 30 minutes, or maybe it's already up. I don't remember when I set it to upload. The Swole episode will be up, let's say tomorrow, and then Slap episode will be day after that. So it's all going up on YouTube. Swole, thank you for the resub, my friend. Yeah, Mello, love you, buddy. Mello, oh, actually, all right. Well, let me, hey. We'll see. We'll see who's on next week. But yeah, much love, Sallow, my boy. Oh shit, Hype Train, Slap, thanks for the resub. Whip out my dick on cam. Okay, never mind. Just kidding. That's welcome, please. Okay. Bye, everybody.